Okay, this episode is Feeling Pinkie Keen, but it's actually not about Pinkie Pie, it's about Twilight. And also, though, it tries to be funny, but more so with Twilight than with Pinkie Pie, which, interesting choice, but we'll get to how that works. But anyway, starts out, Spike and Twilight are just practicing magic, trying to perfect a new trick, when Pinkie Pie comes by acting really, really nervous and wearing this umbrella hat, just like she's trying to watch out for something. And so it's distracting to them, and so they finally ask her what's up, and she says that she has something called Pinkie Sense, which is whenever a body part of hers twitches or something, it means that something bad's going to happen. Okay, maybe some of them didn't. It means something's going to happen. She's like memorized what each one means, and in this case, it's a twitchy tail, which means that something is going to fall from the sky. Okay, so, and Twilight starts to tell her how ridiculous that sounds, but then a frog falls out of the sky and lands on her face. And they look up, and Fluttershy has a basket full of frogs that she's, I guess, carrying from one swamp to another. And, well, that's not important right now. That comes back later. But, okay, in the meantime, back to Pinkie Pie and Twilight. Twilight is kind of annoyed that Pinkie Pie just kind of showed her up, but because she was just showing, I guess, what would be intelligent skepticism. But now she was wrong, and now Spike is siding with Pinkie Pie. He's all excited about, yeah, how Pinkie Pie just predicted the future, but yeah, Twilight's still saying, nope, total coincidence, just forget it, still, again, what would be intelligent skepticism, but, okay, then Pinkie Pie comes back, though, and says something else is going to fall, and right as Twilight starts trying to tell her that that is just wrong, it's not going to happen, she falls into a ditch, so Pinkie Pie's 2-0, and Twilight is now getting even more annoyed. Spike is buying it even more. He's even now a little bit nervous, asking Pinkie Pie, are you sure it's safe to go help Twilight out of the ditch? But anyway, so yeah, as Pinkie Pie takes off, says, okay, that's it for now. Applejack shows up because she's hanging around this episode too, here and there, and she says that when Twilight tells her about it, that actually, even though this would normally be the kind of thing that you should show intelligent skepticism about, which I'm sorry for repeating the same phrase 3 times there, but I digress. Okay. Um, yeah, in this case, uh, everyone in Ponyville has learned that whenever Pinkie Pie says something's going to happen, it always does. They have just learned that, you really need to listen when she says their Pinkie sense is going off. So, okay, and then she comes back and says her ears are twitching, which means that somebody's going to need a bath. And, of course, at Twilight, she starts to laugh it off, and then a cart drives by and splashes mud on her. So, okay, and yeah, in case you haven't noticed, she's going to be playing Daffy Duck this episode, essentially. But and that's, she kind of sets herself up for it too, because she starts to get really smug here. She doesn't like being shown up. She is trying to, I guess, live by her belief in just being in, what you can see, like just not going off on a limb with random beliefs, so that don't make any sense. So, okay, she's trying to hold to her own, but she is really smug about it. So, yeah, she's going to be taking a lot of pratfalls here. So, okay, while she's in the bath, Pinkie Pie explains it to her, that how Pinkie Sense works, how a few of the random twitches and what they mean. And then she predicts that there's an alligator in the tub, which scares the heck out of Twilight, but only to discover that Pinkie Pie's toothless pet alligator, who then starts trying to eat her alive, but they can't do anything. So, okay, point proven. That's interesting throwaway gag there, but anyway. So yeah, Twilight then she starts getting sick of alligators and being hit with open doors that Pinkie Pie predicts. So which happens right after. So now she really starts trying to figure this out. She's like, okay, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this, come hell or high water. I'm gonna figure something out here. And yeah, stage set. This Twilight is now the suffering straight man. She first tries to hook Pinkie Pie up to a vague machine that is apparently going to read everything that happens to her. So they'll have all kinds of numbers and whatever when Pinkie Pie gets a twitch, and then nothing happens except Pinkie Pie's stomach growls, and which she said it usually means I'm hungry. So let's okay, which I can't do it. Which that sounds like a really stupid punchline, but this is actually an important point, despite my total failure of a delivery there. That even when the lines are kind of obvious, that like when the frog dropped on Twilight's face, Pinkie Pie tells her, yeah, okay, you've still got something on your face. Twilight's like, well, really, did your Pinkie Pie sense tell you that too? And Pinkie Pie doesn't get the smugness. She just says, no, I can just see it, which is an obvious line. It's almost explaining it's almost explaining the joke. It's so obvious, but just Pinkie Pie's sheer delivery, like she's so earnest, so sincere, so doesn't get it. It even makes it kind of funny, or at least kind of agreeable. It's still enjoyable. So I mean, they've really mastered what kind of character Pinkie Pie is, I guess. In a sense, they know what it is about her that makes her funny. So, okay, worth noting there. Even though I don't describe it very well, but okay, I digress. So yeah, Twilight gets sick of her machine. She just pulls the wires out, slams them on the floor, walks away, and then right at that moment, Pinkie Pie gets the twitch that means an open door is gonna. You better beware of open doors. So right as Twilight's about to open the one out of the room they're in, Spike kicks it open. Says, hey, have you seen Pinkie Pie anywhere? Or have you seen Twilight anywhere? And Pinkie Pie just strolls out there, and she's like, mm-hmm. And then the door opens. Twilight's a pancake, and hey, Twilight, what are you doing back there? So okay, I'll stop explaining the gags. Actually, I'm probably killing them more than anything. But all right. So now Twilight decides she's going to do scientific expedition. She's going to watch Pinkie Pie from a distance and observe everything she does, because now she's determined to catch her in a contradiction or a false alarm. But of course, every time she thinks she spots one, she gets hit by the new disaster at the last minute, like a swarm of bees, a bunch of ponies in a moving truck accidentally drop an anvil and a flower pot and a piano on her head. So Twilight's made a rough of this episode, if you can't tell. But and then one where an open door. Pinkie Pie predicts an open door that Twilight isn't afraid of, but as she walks away all smug, cellar door pops open, and she falls right into it, and then you just hear Applejack's voice at the bottom, like, oh, you came to visit my new apple cellar, how nice. The timing on that one, I think that was probably my favorite, but, okay. So yeah, and then later Pinkie Pie runs into Applejack herself, and she reveals that, yeah, she knew all along Twilight was following her, so okay, Twilight's been playing herself for a fool. Pinkie Pie just thought she was letting Twilight have her fun, but okay. But then Pinkie Pie gets the biggest shudder yet. She starts bouncing up and down, and yeah, she doesn't know what this one means because it's like none she's ever had before. But she does know that it means that whatever's going to happen is going to happen at the swamp that Fluttershy's at. So they all take off there because they're worried that something bad is going to happen to Fluttershy, and then Twilight comes along only because she wants to see Pinkie Pie proven wrong. So they all go there, they speculate on what's going to happen, and then they find Fluttershy just fine. So Twilight, now starts to gloat again. She jumps up on the rock. She's like, aha, I told you, whatever. And once again, right behind her, a Hydra rises up out of the ground. If you don't know what a Hydra is, if you've ever seen Disney's Hercules, where the many-headed monster. Well, actually, the Hydra's in all versions of Hercules, but I digress. So yeah, multiple-headed monster. They don't really get into the cut off one head, two more emerge, or three more emerge. I think it was in Disney's Hercules. But okay, regardless, giant monster, and this time it's not just a slapstick gag. This one's serious. So they all take off for it, and I guess, and it's actually Twilight leading the getaway because now she is taking up the reins as the leader again. So. Okay, they get as far away as they can. They run up a hill. They're starting to lose it, but then they get to, I guess, a ravine with one of those. I've never seen this happen in real life, but just like pillars of rock that are just close enough together so you can jump across them to the other side. But okay, so yeah, they all have to go one at a time. Fluttershy rehashes the thing from her episode with the dragon, where she was like, okay, where Pinkie Pie tells her, all right, just how to get across a cliff without being scared. Just think one at a time, hop, skip, and a jump. And this time she goes across with no problem. So I did kind of appreciate that she's grown up a little. But okay, anyway, Pinkie, who's I guess having a little trouble getting across because of shuddering, she has to be sort of carried across. So Twilight volunteers to buy time, and she actually brings up Rainbow Dash, who's not in this episode. She's like, oh, what would a brave pony like Rainbow Dash do? Which, oddly, I didn't know the show was actually impressed with Rainbow Dash on that front. I thought, after the Dragon episode, which seemed to play her as a blowhard more than anything, I thought that, she was maybe on hiatus with, like, whether she was brave or not. But, okay, but, I guess they're still giving her some credit. So, alright, Twilight decides to just charge the Hydra, see if she can distract it, just like somehow trip it up, and she does. She like manages to run right underneath it, and all the heads then try to follow her and sort of tie themselves up. So okay, she buys them some time. She runs for it, but then the Hydra manages to gain its footing back, and it takes a swipe at her. It misses, but it knocks over a couple of the rock pillars, so Twilight can't make the jump anymore. And I think it's pretty safe to say that the writers it was a deliberate choice to throw out that Twilight can teleport, because we've seen her teleport from the middle of town to home. I think she can get herself out of this one, but no, we need the moment where Pinkie Pie is just like, oh, Twilight, you've got to take a leap of faith. I promise you, if you jump, you're going to be okay. So, alright, Twilight, because the other option is, well, besides remembering that she can teleport, is just staying with the Hydra. So, okay, she does. She jumps for it. She does not make it to the pillar, but as she hits the bottom, which I guess they were in a swamp, so I guess it's still swamp water, like one of the swamp bubbles that forms an especially big one, which Twilight hits, and then it like bounces her all the way back up, safe and sound. So, okay, day saved. Twilight is a little, like, I guess she's not sure how she feels about Pinkie Sense now, but because yeah, Pinkie Pie predicted there would be a real doozy of a problem, and a Hydra definitely qualifies. But then she starts shuddering again, and she says that, yep, that wasn't it. The Hydra was not the doozy, and Twilight is like sick of trying to being led in and out of confusing doors here. Just like, okay, the Hydra wasn't the doozy. What could be doozier than that? And then Pinkie Pie still doesn't give her a straight answer. She's just like, I don't know, it just wasn't. So, okay, then Twilight, well, I guess that's a straight answer, but doesn't give her an answer she can latch onto. So then Twilight is really mad. They do a sight gag where she just bursts into flames, which you never know what you get from this show, and that's a plus. That's definitely, they're always thinking of just something interesting they can throw at you for that, just for fun. So, okay, so then Twilight just simmers down, and for whatever reason, that's what convinces her to give in. She says, okay, I can't fight it anymore. Pinkie Sense just makes sense. It always worked. And actually, you think that would be a reason that makes less sense, that, yeah, she predicted there would be a doozy, but the Hydra was just nothing, and another doozy's going to happen. But, okay, well, whatever the reason, well, because she's tired of fighting it, she says, okay, I'm done. It's just, I give up. It makes sense. I believe in Pinkie Sense now. So, okay, and then Pinkie Pie starts shuddering harder. She looks like she's going to spontaneously combust, and then it just stops, and it turns out that was the doozy, Twilight believing. So, okay, fair enough. And then they cut back to Twilight's house, and Twilight is wearing an umbrella hat because Pinkie predicted something else is going to fall from the sky, and she has Spike write a letter for the moral, letter to the princesses, the moral, where she says that there are things we don't understand in this world, but that doesn't mean that, or they don't have an explanation yet, but that doesn't mean you should brush them off. That, sometimes you do have to accept when it makes sense that there's something there. So, okay, he writes the letter, and then it turns out the thing that's going to fall is the princess, who crashes onto the balcony. Well, not crash lands, but yeah, heavy landing. She comes to collect the letter herself, and just, yeah, takes off. So, okay, that's it. And what did I think? If you couldn't tell, I thought this one was another really good one. I don't know how many I've said, like maybe four or five. Well, however many. I think the last one was Winter Wrap Up, number 11. But okay, I think this one is another really good one. It was really, really funny, and I'll get to that in a minute. But also, I think the moral, even though how much of a moral it was, came right at the end. I think it was a really good moral, because actually, that's really true. There are things in this world that are not totally understood, and even some very important people debate how much credit we should give to them, how much we should take them into account, or how much we should denounce them. And psychic powers are going to be, of course, the easiest one, but realistically, at least in my opinion, most psychics are BSers. If you have a legitimate reason not to think so, that's fine, but more power to you. But at least some of them have been proven beyond a doubt to be fake, and I mean, maybe some of them have tapped onto something, a sparse few. Maybe some of them are onto something, but I think most of them, I think it's safe to say, are fake. But there are better examples. Like, for example, we have monks who claim that there's an existence of something called chi, just like a life energy that they can tap into. And I mean, some studies have claimed they could measure it. Some say it's nonsense. There's no proof. But regardless, even if it is really chi, or if it's something else they've tapped into, that's just how they're terming it because they don't have the more precise definition. There is an effect there. Like a monk who has reached a high level of chi can raise the temperature of his body so much that he's able to record that the temperature of his toes have gone up 15 degrees, or what was it? You put a sheet of ice, an icy sheet of paper over him, it will start to steam. And okay, they found a way to get a really precise effect there, but okay, they claim it's chi, and what's the response they get? I forget who said it, but I mean, basically the conclusion seems to be that, well, I mean, it's okay, since we can't definitely deny it, it's obviously along a different line of study, so we just don't care. So I couldn't even tell you who said that, but okay, regardless. So that's okay. So it's an interesting point to touch upon that. Okay, yeah, maybe there is stuff we don't understand, and I mean, and if you always just say that, okay, we don't understand it, so it's probably a trick or something like that, you might miss some pretty cool stuff. So, okay, and now for the comedy, which, we've gone over this before, the Twilight, they got the slapstick with Twilight down. I think I said in the winter wrap-up episode, yeah, they gave it to her there too, but that, though, was supposed to be almost just as sad as it was funny, and here it's just full-blown slapstick. They're just, unloading on her, they drop a friggin' piano on her head. I mean, obviously, if you were supposed to be feeling sorry for her even a little bit, it'd be too much, but I mean, no, you're just totally supposed to be having fun at her expense while she sets herself up for it, and that's played really well. Twilight, surprise, surprise, is a great straight man for this, just the great suffering straight man, and yeah, they have the timing down, and also, though, what is worth noting, I think a little unusual, is that, if you notice, this is, well, I hate talking about gender dynamics because that's so touchy, but yeah, this is very unusual that the girls usually don't get to play the slapstick role very much. They usually don't get to play the comic relief, because, if you notice, yeah, I guess a guy character can still be played up, still totally go down, be a fool, or be like take pratfalls and be our hero. But I mean, if a girl character has to take pratfalls, usually they're just like a side character or a villain or something like that, or somebody there's some reason not to take them seriously or just to disown them, while some other girl who, I mean, if a female character is your hero, usually she's only funny because of, like, I mean, if it involves slapstick, I guess she's usually the inflictor, or otherwise it's because she's sarcastic or something like that. Maybe because she's legitimately funny, but, it can't be at her expense usually, because I guess the girl characters are supposed to be too delicate or something, but, this is something we don't see very much, that Twilight, you're supposed to like her, you're supposed to respect her, think she's really smart, but in times like this, she can still, you can still have a laugh at her expense. She can still do something silly, which is very unusual. And it's not even like they just sort of push to the side that you're supposed to like her either, because right at the end, it's, even though she's been kind of a smart aleck this whole episode, at the end she still steps up to the plate. She still takes charge and basically saves everybody from the Hydra, and it's not even like a big transition either, because it's totally in character the way she's doing it. It's because she, I guess, is insisting on what she's studied, what she's used to. She refuses to bend on it because she's the practical one, and that's where they're getting that she can walk blindly into stuff as, the straight man here, the one who is trying to be practical and, has to discover the hard way that it's not going to help him in this case. That's a long established sort of a shtick, and she fills it perfectly. So, but Again, like I said, I really can't even think of one other example where the female character, the female lead, has been allowed to play that role. So, I don't know, does My Little Pony deserve credit for being progressive now? Maybe. That's pretty much it for this one, and pretty much everything I wanted to say. So, okay, the next one is Sonic Rainboom, which I guess is Rainbow Dash, and I think she's only had a couple of episodes that she was sharing the spotlight in. So, we'll see if this has anything new to add about her, because I guess probably the only one who's been put on the back burner left. So, okay, we'll see. Till then.